Well, hello. This is week number 6 of the stay at home, social distancing, coronavirus, all that good stuff. And this is my diary. This is my diary, and I am Johnny Tiger. I don't know if you can see me past that giant mug in front of the camera, but I thought, well, a view of Hoover Dam is probably a little bit more interesting than my face. Um, this is April 22nd, and we are here to celebrate our Wisdom Wednesday. Every Wednesday is when I just sit down, not doing anything special, and talk a little bit about things that I found interesting, things I learned, and things that I feel that can be shared with others. Not that I have a lot of wisdom to begin with, but I'll do my best. So today, I want to talk about some one of the new trivia I learned about my culture, the Chinese culture. I also want to share with you little uh, knowledge that I learned with regarding how to make friends. Um, so let's get started, shall we? So one thing that I learned this week that was kind of interesting. I don't know how many of you watch Chinese movies and especially movies that pertains to the old days when China was still monarchy. And quite often in these movies, they show the emperors and the queens. They would wear like yellow or gold clothes. And there's even a rumor going around that the emperor and the queens, the royalties, were the only people allowed to wear that color. Any other people that wore that color would get their heads chopped off. Well, it turns out that for the most part, that uh, gold yellow coloration for the royal garment was mostly a figment of theater. It was for stage theater, for people on screen to look more defined and more unique and more noble and impressive and majestic. For the longest time, for the first maybe 3,000 years of Chinese history, Chinese people, and maybe, I'm just guessing, but maybe for most of the people around the world, were predominantly black. Even the royalties, commoners, from the highest station to the lowly people, black was the most popular, most commonly seen, and what people were wearing. So now people would ask, then why did Chinese people like to wear black? And the answer is a lot simpler than we may think. It's not that Chinese people like to wear black. It got nothing to do with the weather. It got nothing to do with fashion. It got nothing to do with the ability of the color being able to block sunlight, etc., etc. It got nothing to do with cultural identity. Chinese people, for the first 2 or 3 thousand years of our history, wore black because it was the cheapest and most easy color to produce in large quantity. Back then, we didn't have a lot of technology to dye our clothes, to process different materials and fabric and stuff like that. The most common dye was a deep, deep blue color. So when this blue color dried and get soaked into a garment and hit the light, often it showed up black. So this is why early Chinese history, everyone tend to wear black because it was the most available. It was not until the Tang Dynasty and the Song Dynasty that the royalty decided, well, now that we have the technology to make different colors, let's change things up and let's wear something other than black. So from the Tang Dynasty and the Song Dynasty, so we are looking at maybe 1,900 years ago onward, royalty started to wear red instead. And it was rumored that these colors were dyed using the blood of great apes. Not any red color. They didn't use just any red coloration. It has to be dyed from the blood from great apes. Now, great apes were really rare to begin with, so obviously this would limit these red garments to royalties and really, really rich people. That only they could wear these red garments that dyed with the blood of great apes. Regular people could just wear red dyed with regular red color. So in Chinese history, when we want to describe something that's really, 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 really red, like bright red, uh, that really special red color, there's a phrase called Xin Hong, Xin Sing, actually Shing, Hong Hong, Xin Hong, and this Xin a lot of people, including myself, never knew this. This Sheen means great apes, and Hong means red. So ape red. A lot of us growing up in Taiwan, in China, we never understood why do we describe that special super red color as Xin Hong, as ape red. Like, what does that mean? So that's why. It's because back then, these colors were generated, were affected by soaking the garment in the blood of a great ape. It was also rumored that these great apes, their blood has a kind of property that once you soak a garment in it, that red will never fade from the garment, no matter how often you wash it. So that is interesting. Well, I find it interesting anyway. Little trivia about Chinese culture and the coloration of the royal garment that I learned this past week. Now let's talk about friendship. A lot of people, including myself, ask this question once or twice in our lifetime. It's so hard to make friends, especially the older we get. It seems that the harder it is to make friends. So I think that we all ask this question that how do I make friends? There must be a trick in making friends. And in fact, there is. And Chinese people know this for thousands and thousands of years. And this is reflected in the Chinese culture through and through. Let me explain that. If you want to know how to make friends, how to keep friends, there are three steps you can do. And if you can do two out of the three with a person, then you have a great chance of making them your friend. And if you can do all three, then you have a good chance of making them your very, 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 very good and special friend. Item number one, feed them. Not like feeding them like a dog or hand feed them with a spoon or anything, but buy them food. Okay, we do that when we are dating someone. Like guys, we all do that. When we want to date a woman, when we want her to be interested, one of the most common tactics is to take her out for dinner. Do that with whoever you are interested to be friends with. Feeding someone is one of the best way to get someone to bond with you because the uh, act of sharing a meal automatically bring you closer. And if you are the one providing that meal, even better. And not just people you want to be friends with. Uh, if you want your friends to always remember you, if you want your friends to always love you, feed them occasionally. Uh, Buy them little snacks, dessert, bring them a cake, bring them fruit, uh, bring them a meal, bring them soup when they're sick. When you go out, pay for meals. That doesn't mean that you want to do it every time. Obviously, you don't want them to take advantage of you. And if they are a true friend, they will feed you back as well. But the act of feeding a friend is one of the best way to make friends and best way to keep a friend. Number two, have shared experiences. People who been to war, people who play on the same sports team, people who go hiking together or camping together, people who work in the same place. These are usually the people that end up being friends because they have common knowledge, common conversation, common topic. So if you want to be someone's friend, you have to find some common ground. You have to find a shared experience, something you can do together, not just talk on the phone, not just sending them gift, but as we go back and say, sharing a meal, that counts as shared experience as well. Going out for walks, uh, uh, get together and do some workout together, go to the gym together, go fishing together. Have something that build memory. Shared experience build memory. Number three, shared principles. Now, some people say this one's a bit confusing. What do you mean by shared principles? Well, if you want someone to be your friend, that person have to agree with you on something. You have to agree with them on something. It's hard to be friends with somebody if you disagree about everything. And the more you agree, the more you'll be a good friend. So if you are into nature, if you are into saving the world, then you probably will find more friends who believe in the same thing. If you believe in art and music, then you'll probably find more people who believe and like the same thing. If you believe in going to church, if you are religious, you're most likely going to make more friends that are of the same religion because you believe in something together. You already have a common goal. You have already have a lot of the same values. So, quick recap: one, feed them; two, share experience; three, share principle. Now, as I said, if you can do two out of the three, then you have a great chance of making someone your friend. If you just have one, then your chance is really, really small. If all you do is feed someone, then all you're going to end up with is an acquaintance. If you all you do is have shared experience, but you never eat together, you never buy them anything, and you don't really have common ground, you don't have a shared principle. If all you do is work together, then the best you're going to get is a colleague, a comrade. Now, if you have shared principle, but you don't have shared experience, you never meet, you never do anything together, and you never eat together, you never buy the person food. Just having shared principle, all that does is make that person your like-minded individual. They may be like-minded, like I know a lot of people who collect action figures, but they are not my friends because we don't do anything together. We all like action figures. We talk about action figures occasionally, but we don't eat together. We never do anything together. So they are not my friend. I'm not their friend. Friend in Mandarin is 朋友, Pengyo, 朋友. And friendship is 友情, Yoching, 友情. So 友 obviously in this case means friend. 情 means love. Now 友情 means love between friends. So what is 朋友? What is this 朋, P-E-N-G? What is that word? Before I go, I want to talk about that because it's actually quite interesting and touch upon what I said earlier that Chinese people kind of knew how friendship worked even way back in the beginning. Many people, many Chinese people, if you ask them what does 朋 mean, 朋 in 朋友, 友 means friend. So what is this 朋? What is this word? What does it do? A lot of them won't be able to tell you. I wouldn't be able to tell you that 2 months ago. And I just came across the origin of 朋友 as a friend a couple of weeks ago. The origin of this phrase 朋友, friend, came from way back in the past. Again, we are going back to 3 or 4 thousand years ago in Chinese history, when there wasn't such thing as money. Back then, the currency were these beautiful multicolored seashells that people could gather at the beach. So if you lived back then, if you wanted some money, all you had to do, go on the beach and look around. You spend some time look around, you find some beautiful seashells. And what you do is you drill a hole into these seashells and string them up on a string. So I'm not sure how many seashells would be on each string, but let's just assume 10 seashells on each string. Uh, every two strings of seashell was called 一捧, means 1 unit. So you can say that's about $20 today. 一捧, one $20. That was the unit of two strings of seashell. So the word 朋友 means friend came from that back then people would only consider you their friend if you respect them enough to spend two strings of seashell on them, whether taking them out on a meal or taking them out and buying them gift. And people will only spend that much on you if they consider you worthy to be their friend. So 一捧 means two strings of seashell. If you spend two strings of seashell on a person, that means you want to be their friend. So 朋友 came from that. The word 朋 came from two strings of seashell back then. Well, I hope that you guys find this as interesting as I did. Some of you probably fell asleep by now. Anyway, we'll come back tomorrow for Toy Thursday. For now, stay strong, stay healthy, stay safe, and 再见.